What if the consciousness looking out of your eyes right now was the same exact force that holds the stars in the sky? That's the kind of mind-bending question we're diving into today as we explore one of the most ancient and profound bodies of knowledge in history, the Vedas and the Upanishads. This is more than a history lesson. It's a journey to the heart of the ultimate question: who are we?
All right, so here's our game plan for this incredible journey. First, we'll get a handle on what Veda even means. Then, we'll check out its four main pillars. From there, it gets really interesting. We'll see how the path splits between ritual and philosophy, which leads us straight to the core essence, Vedanta. Then we'll uncover four great sayings that try to bottle all of reality. And finally, we'll get to the ultimate goal of all this knowledge: total liberation.
So let's start at the beginning. What exactly is Veda? Well, the word itself comes from the Sanskrit root vid, which basically means to know or knowledge. But we're not talking about everyday knowledge, like a fun fact. The Veda is seen as this complete, perfect, and, well, infinite body of wisdom. The way to think about it is, it's not a book written by someone, but knowledge itself just existing. In fact, this is a core idea. The tradition describes the Vedas with this amazing word, apauruṣeya, and what that means is not of human origin. They're considered the very breath of the Supreme Being, revealed directly to ancient sages or Rishis who were in deep states of meditation. So the idea is, they didn't sit down and invent this stuff. They just got quiet enough to hear.
Okay, so we've got this timeless, foundational source of wisdom, but how in the world do you even begin to wrap your head around infinite knowledge? Well, let's take a look at how it was organized to make it a little more accessible for the rest of us.
So, the story goes that this vast, unauthored knowledge was compiled and structured by the legendary sage Vedavyasa. He's the one who organized it into four principal texts, kind of like four great pillars, so that humanity could actually engage with it.
And here they are, the four big ones. First up, you've got the Rig Veda. This is the oldest, and it's basically the book of praise, just beautiful, powerful hymns to the divine. Then there's the Yajurveda, which is like the how-to manual, the book of rituals. Next, the Samaveda takes those hymns and puts them to music, so it becomes this incredible book of chants. And finally, you have the Atharva Veda. This one's super practical. It's the book of daily life, covering everything from medicine to charms for good luck.
Okay, now this is where things get really, really interesting. Inside each of those four Vedas, there's another level of organization, and it's set up like a journey. A journey from the outside world of action, moving deeper and deeper into internal understanding.
This journey pretty much unfolds in four stages. You start with the Samhita, that's the core collection of hymns. Then you move to the Brahmanas, which are prose texts that explain how to perform the rituals. After that, you get the Aranyakas, the forest books. These were for people who had kind of retired from daily life to go meditate on the deeper meaning of it all. And this whole path leads to the final stage, the Upanishads. This is the pure philosophical goal.
So this progression creates this huge split within the Vedic world. The first two parts, the hymns and the ritual guides, are known as the Karma Kanda. That's the path of action, all about doing the right things in the world. But the last two parts, the forest books and the Upanishads, form what's called the Jnana Kanda, the path of knowledge. This is where the focus shifts entirely from doing to knowing, from seeking worldly results to seeking ultimate truth.
All right, so let's follow that path of knowledge to its very end. We're heading into the philosophical core, the Upanishads. They're literally known as the end of the Veda, which is exactly what the word Vedanta means. And this is where the quest turns completely inward, asking the biggest questions you can possibly imagine. And the name Upanishad itself is just brilliant. It gives you this perfect mental image. It comes from upa, near, ni, down, and shad, to sit. So it literally means to sit down near. It conjures up this scene of a student sitting right at the feet of a master, a guru, ready to receive these profound secret teachings you just can't get anywhere else.
So what's the whole point of the Upanishads? Well, it's all about exploring something called Brahma Vidya. This is the supreme knowledge, the knowledge of Brahman, which is the ultimate all-encompassing reality. And it's all about figuring out Brahman's relationship to the Atman. That's our own individual innermost self. The goal here is to finally answer those huge questions. Who am I really? And what is the true nature of, well, everything?
Now, the wisdom in these texts is just immense. But the sages had this incredible knack for distilling it all down into these super powerful short statements. They're called the Mahāvākyas, or the great sayings. You could think of them as the absolute concentrated essence of this entire path of knowledge.
Just think about that for a second. How on earth could you express the ultimate truth of the entire universe in a single sentence? How could you capture everything about reality and who you are in just a handful of words? Well, the sages of the Upanishads gave it a shot.
The first and maybe most famous one is Tad Tvam Asi. It translates to that thou art, or more simply, you are that. This is a teaching from a teacher to a student. The that is Brahman, the ultimate reality, the cosmos, the whole shebang. And the guru is looking at the student and saying, you are that. You're not some separate tiny drop in the ocean. You are the ocean.
Okay, so the next great saying is really the flip side of that coin. It's Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Now, this isn't some giant ego trip like, I am God. No, this is the deep personal realization that happens inside the student after they've truly understood you are that. It's the moment of discovery when you realize, oh my gosh, my own innermost self is that same universal reality.
So what is this ultimate reality, this Brahman, anyway? The next saying gives us a massive clue. Prajnanam Brahma. This means consciousness is Brahma. And this is huge. It's saying that the fundamental ground of all being isn't a thing or a place or some person like God up in the sky. It is pure, undiluted, infinite consciousness itself. And the final saying just brings it all home, making the connection absolutely crystal clear. I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. It's basically pointing right at you and saying, that innermost self, the core of your being, the very awareness that's listening to my voice right now, that is Brahman.
So we have this incredible, mind-blowing knowledge, this whole journey from ritual to realization. But so what? What's the point? Why go to all this trouble? Why did those ancient sages seek this knowledge? And why has it been so carefully passed down for thousands of years?
Well, the ultimate purpose is a state called Jivan Mukti, and that means liberation while you are still living. See, the point isn't to rack up good karma to get into some nice afterlife. The goal is to realize this profound, non-dual truth that you and the universe are one, and to live in a state of absolute freedom, peace, and wisdom right here, right now, in this very life.
And that leaves us with one final, powerful thought that really wraps up this entire journey. It's the central idea of the Upanishads, but I'll leave it with you as a question to just sit with. What if the self you spend your whole life searching for is the universe you're looking at?